Hey, experts listeners, I want to key you into something that we do very special here at Ops Experts Club, and that's a masterclass. We have a free masterclass called Foundations That Scale. And the great thing about this masterclass is it's for operation professionals who are growing businesses. One of the most dangerous things you can do as an operator is grow businesses on a foundations that's not stable. So in this particular masterclass, we take apart all of the inside pieces of your team, your tech, and how they're using time. And we make sure that you're building on a foundation that's stable. So if you want to check out a great masterclass completely for free, go to foundationsthatscale.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Ops Experts Club with Aaron, Terryn, and Savannah. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of some of the finer details of multi-million-dollar companies. These ops experts have dealt with operations for scaling companies and well-established businesses with anywhere from small to large teams. If you've ever been deep into the details of a major company, then you know how much it takes, and these conversations are just for you. Welcome to the Ops Experts Club podcast.
Ops Experts Club. There's part of me that's like, I wish, because what people don't recognize, because they're not with you all the time, like I'm with you all the time on calls, is there's a lot of moments where you will mouth out the intros to some really classic films out there, like Indiana Jones, like Jurassic Park. And there's part of me that wishes that I could incorporate that into the kickoffs of these Ops Experts Clubs, that I could just come in and just hear bump, bump, bump. Yeah, I mean, and just know Terryn's taking me home right now. What do you think of that?
Yeah, not feeling it today, but I did see the new trailer for the new Jurassic World. So
The new Jurassic. Can we just say this? Is it not incredible that we haven't figured out yet you shouldn't go back to the island, no matter what? Like under all cases, just don't go back to the island. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but the more you tell people not to, the more they're going to do it.
When Scarlett Johansson gets involved, that's when I'm like, wow, we've really up-leveled it. We've got an Avenger level threat. We're doing 2 Avengers now. We have Guardians and we've got Black Widow. Whoa, that's a serious situation.
All right, you're a little past me now.
Awesome. Ops experts. Thanks for joining us today. Sorry you got the full nerd version of Terryn and I talking about films and intro mouthed out. Man, I hope that you get to enjoy that someday, though. There's a part of me that says, hey, start working with us so you can see Terryn do it. He only does it subconsciously. Today, though, we're going to talk about something that I think is really important, and that's when do you outsource? Like, I think all of us are growing teams, are growing businesses. Part of that is growing internal team. Obviously, I think that is probably the cheapest way for you to go is build up an internal team. But there does come a time when it's like, okay, I should be considering outsourcing some of this. And what should that look like? And then at what scale should we go with that? Last round we got to hear from Michael Tucker from Nehemiah Davis's organization, Circul of Greatness. And that's their whole business model is outsource challenges. When a company's like, hey, I want to do challenges. I'm not sure what goes into challenges, or maybe I've been doing challenges. I haven't seen the results I want to see from challenges. Nehemiah, I'm going to commit this off to you. Michael Tucker, I want you to take this over for me. And those guys just pick it up and they run with it for a percentage of your income. And I think that is the way their business model is set up. Terryn, when do you think people should consider outsourcing?
Wow. It's funny you asked me that because I feel like this conversation just happened with somebody else, randomly.
So it was incredible. I was inspired by your question to me. And so that's why I just turned it around on you when we started the show.
Yeah, and there's a few different reasons why you should start or when you should start outsourcing. And I think the first thing you look at is you're just growing too quickly and your team can't handle it. And you've got your proven product, it's successful. And you just need help ASAP. You need to hire those people who know what they're doing and get it done quickly and execute your ideas. Another great way or another reason why you might want to outsource is kind of the opposite. Maybe your team is struggling a little bit and you need just some help in that area and they're not able to keep up with your vision. But still, you've got the proven process, proven product. You've got the cash, you can hire the best and you can outsource it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a great answer. That answer sounded familiar. And I want to say that I think it sounded better on you. So thank you for wearing that out for the whole team to be able to see. But honestly, I think that what I've seen is sometimes the greatest teams, like when you're building your team, usually every business starts with a visionary that's got an excitement for their concept, their product, whatever it is they're bringing to the world. And they show up and they introduce it to the world and they knock down their first set of followers that's going to pay them dollars to go and give or deliver whatever it is that they've created. And then usually from that first set of followers, what I've seen is the visionary begins to become over capacity. And so he begins to grab from, like I would call it the whatever it takes. I mean, the crew of people that are just like, whatever it takes. I think Pedro Adao coined that phrase. Like they're my WIT crew. These are the guys who are just going to show up and do whatever it takes. But what we found is that a lot of times the WIT crew, they've never really done this before. Like they're just excited about what you're growing. And so they'll do whatever it takes, but that still leaves all the pressure on the visionary. And oftentimes the visionary hasn't been there before, so they lift as far as they can lift until they start hitting a cap, a ceiling. They're not growing much more than that. And so I think it leads to the question of, okay, who should we bring in to help? I mean, I would say, I'm always a little bit apprehensive of experts that are just going to come in and give you some information and then bail out, but expect you to write them a check. You know what I mean? Like I always want to see, hey, how can we partner in this together? How can we do some of these things together so that you've got some skin in the game? You've got some, like I know for us at Collab team, that I feel like that's one of our biggest selling points is that we're going to jump in the trench with you and pull out the shovels and we're going to start digging you out of this thing. We're not just going to be like, hey, strategically, I would start on the left side of the pile and start digging up from that side. And then, hey, could you write me a check and I'm going to bail out. I hope that works out for you. Like get people to get skin in the game. But I would say proven product, right? You want to have cash coming in because if you don't have cash coming in, you're going to be unnecessarily pinched as you begin to hire outsource.
Yeah. Yep. And then you're really feeling it too. If you're looking to them too much and you don't have anything else coming in and it all rests on the outsource. But yeah, I mean, the reason we're bringing this up is we were talking with Michael Tucker from Nehemiah Davis and they found a nice niche where they are the challenge outsource team.
Yeah.
And, they're looking for kind of solopreneurs, people with a following, influencers, either people who don't have a product yet or people who have a very low product. They figured out how to make their first course and approaching them and being like, do you want to take this to the next level? And you can outsource with us. And that's like a proactive outsource attempt. They're reaching out to these people, but then you can do it the other way around. If you have the vision and the dreams, you can find what you want to get out of it and find the right people to outsource your vision. But the other way, you don't have vision. You don't even know yet what you don't know. And somebody's approaching you being like, hey, you got it going on. We can take you to the next level.
Yeah. I think that's, it's interesting that you talk about it that way because I think that's really true. I know when we first started working with Pedro Adao, that was his situation, right? He was really climbing. And then he had just like, his team was breaking. So they reached out to us for us to come in and clip into them for the sake of helping establish better systems so they could get a higher lift. And I feel like we really grew with Pedro radically those 3 years that we worked with Pedro at the apex of his game when he was just being released as the challenge guy, just coming on the scenes. And then from there, like he began working with some really big brands. You know what I mean? Like Tony and Dean, he helped consult them on their brands, like Damon John, like Joel Olstein, like some of the hugest names that are out there, Pedro was able to consult with because he had proven himself as the expert, but it was because he knew when to outsource, when to clip in outside team. And then as we were there, we began to backfill and exit because our business model isn't that we're going to be around forever. There are different business models out there, but for us, we just want to get in, get you stable, get out. And I felt like we really did that with Pedro. But I think that it's an interesting thing to think about. I think a lot of the people in that era that we saw with Pedro and what I feel like Nehemiah Davis's team is really capitalizing on is that there are some people that are really experts in a different medium, but have never done challenges before. Like in their example with Michael Tucker's end of things, right? Maybe they were like the gurus, it's so funny how you see the ebbs and flows of the marketing world, but like, man, for a long time, people were like webinars are dead. You know what I mean? And then they moved to this whole challenge model. Well, maybe they were killing it at webinars and they haven't been able to figure out how to make the transition over to like the challenge model or like a hybrid event or even just an online event. And so I feel like that's where Pedro really made his name, was being able to consult people on that. And then Nehemiah's taken it to the next level of not only are they there to consult you on how to do it, they're going to be the ones that actually help you execute doing it. And that way, if you're good at some medium that maybe isn't challenges, you're able to just go and tap on the shoulder of somebody that is excellent at that medium that can give you the immediate lift. Because otherwise you got to get in there and figure it out, right? Which is going to be cost. I think that's probably the thing we all need to recognize is you could go and try and figure things out for yourself And maybe there's a time and place to do that if you don't have an established medium that's working, like these guys over here with webinars, and they were launching there and they were making sales, but they wanted to transition over into challenges. They were already had an established rev stream. They were just using that money now to get into a different web stream, but like our rev stream. But I think, I've been watching Spider-Man a lot lately. So that's probably like web stream. That's probably where you got that. But then when you come into like Nehemiah Davis, for them, it's like, hey, why don't you just let us take that on for you? We've seen that you're an established brand. We can really lift and then get a piece of the lift. So I think there's probably a couple different ways you could do it. But I do think that typically I would say it's once you've already established success somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. We've seen it a couple different ways, starting up from nothing and growing to where you've got. And then we've seen people, we have clients who've already started a business, sold it, and are just on to their next creative idea. They're starting from up here already. They've got the cash in pocket. They've got a lot more freedom to do what they want to do rather than having to go through all the growing pains that, the first timers are doing. So it's okay, whichever bucket you're in. Sometimes you still end up in the same place though. And outsourcing is a great tool when you're up against something you don't know how to handle, or you just want it done quickly. Best way to expedite is to outsource as well. What other people can accomplish can be way more than what your team can accomplish.
I will say, like, as you begin to outsource, whether it's like we're talking about right now with challenges, or you begin to outsource ops, like with Collab team, or let's say you start hiring VAs, that are on the outside and you're trying to just outsource some work to them, but they aren't necessarily part of your internal team yet, or maybe you haven't hired them in that capacity, or maybe they're just experts at something that you don't have somebody good on your team internally yet. I think that whatever you outsource for, my recommendation would always be try and learn the magic. Try and get some sort of like SOP system from them so that you're not always dependent. See, the worst thing you can do is get yourself into a situation where your whole business is dependent on somebody else's business, because you're lining yourself up for a catastrophe. Like you want to hold the keys to your kingdom. I know one of our clients that we carry right now, that's a high level retainer, a great group of people, had gotten themselves into a situation where the term they came to us with was, this vendor that we've hired is operating out of a black box, and we don't know what's in the black box, and we don't know what they're doing over there. And we feel like they're hijacking the business from the black box, and I think that that's always the danger of getting too dependent on anybody you outsource to. So I would say outsource with them, like in the scenario of a challenge. I keep going back there because it's a very tangible one-off like set of days, right? So, hey, I'm going to pay you. You're going to run this challenge for me for these set of days. You're going to ramp me in. You're going to ramp me out. And I would say as part of your contract, ask for the blueprint, right? I'd also like, as you're building this for me, the blueprint of how this works, because I don't want to just commit to you the keys of my kingdom and just carte blanche, sign a check and just be like, hey, just do whatever you're going to do and I'll just trust. And then I'm tied to this relationship world without end. And if I ever want to continue to grow, I've got to keep coming back to it in that same well, instead of, no, give me the blueprint, show me how this thing's work. And then you can begin to make strategic decisions of, I think I'm going to actually hire in a copywriter internally. And that'll relieve some of the pressure on the challenge team, right? I think I'm going to hire in a marketing manager that's actually going to help me with some of the creatives and possibly even do my ad buying. And then you begin to parse and piece out some of these big things that are too big for you. And you're not just always indebted to a company that really isn't going to have your best in mind the same way you are, because this is your business. This is your prize. This is what you've worked all your blood, sweat, and tears for. No matter how great of a third-party outsourced vendor they are, they're never going to care about as much as you care about it. So what are your thoughts on that, T?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great suggestion. And I don't think as many people care as deeply as us about providing the blueprint to people and wanting to be able to exit. So people might run up against some pushback if they're asking for somebody's blueprints.
I would say at least this is what I would do is, I think it was probably Russell Brunson that, in fact, this is the week of his event termed such thing, which is funnel hacking. I would say, the whole game behind funnel hacking is find somebody else doing what you're doing that's maybe at a little bit higher performance than you, and then like hack their system, right? Like see how they're doing their website, see how they're taking their opt-ins, see the emails that come out the backside of that, see what takes them to the sales page, see what is compelling about that sales page, like pull apart the bits and pieces and then reforge it for yourself is what the whole game of funnel hacking is. I would say at minimum, as you're talking to people and they're willing to run something for you, to let them know, hey, I just want you to know this probably isn't going to be a forever thing. And so I'd really like to learn the things. I'd really like you to teach some of these things to my team. and see what kind of resistance you get out of the gates with them out of the gates, and see if they're open to that. They're not open to that. And if they're not really open to that, I would say from your own perspective, start funnel hacking what they're doing. Start hacking,
Mhm.
like, how are they doing? What are they doing? What's the order of things that they're making reference to? Like, I would suggest make copies of their stuff as they share stuff with you, for the sake of you being able to go back through and pull it apart and be able to analyze what are the steps they're doing, for the sake of me being able to create this for myself one day. You are paying them money. Obviously, stay true to your agreement and things that are their proprietary, intellectual property. Don't just go steal stuff. But at the same time, realize it's probably not going to be advantageous for you to pay a third party vendor for the rest of your life. You're probably going to want to bring that internal. And I would say trying to find partners like the Collab team that might be a little bit more generous with, hey, we'll give you all of our tools. You hire us in to come and help with the lift. We'll give you all of our tools, and we want you to succeed. And our goal is that you wouldn't be dependent on us forever. 6 to 12 months is our average client, you know what I mean? But some last longer, some last shorter, you know what I mean? But let's talk about like what it is you're trying to get out of this and how we can best prop you up.
Mhm. Yeah. It reminds me of kind of a lot of conversations we have with people on the show.
Mhm.
There's Justin Janowski, he's an awesome sales team to outsource,
Yeah.
especially for events. You just need one-offs, and then Cody Barton, we just had on. I don't know if his episode's been released yet, but, he said investment, he said, realize what you're not good at, you know,
Right.
and stop trying to be good at that. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay if you're not good at everything. And those are just great opportunities to outsource as well, is realizing what you're not good at, what your team's not good at. What's the missing link? Where do you need help? Or what's the next big move you want to make that you need somebody else who's done it before to help show you and help you do it?
No, that's really good advice, T. Because I think otherwise you can be mediocre at a lot of things, or you can be really good at your thing. You know what I mean? So figure out what your thing is to be great at, and realize you probably aren't going to be great at everything. So identify what those weaknesses are. And I would say for sure, whether by outsourcing or internal hire, let's start bringing in experts in these areas that are not where I shine. And then I would say, how do you get best loyalty out of them? Some people, there are some clients of ours. Keith Yackey has been a client for 11 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's been with us forever because Keith just knows he doesn't want to grow internal team to do the things that we're doing, because he likes us being his go-to, and he recognizes he's probably paying premium for having us on the field. But for him, it's worth it because he doesn't want to manage people. He
Mhm.
doesn't want to be responsible for his stuff. He wants to show up, sprinkle the Keith Yackey magic that is able to sell his product, Married Game. And then from there, he just wants to know that it's sold, and then commit it to a team that's just going to carry it forward for him. And then he'll show up on the different fulfillment calls. He needs to show up on the fulfillment calls wise, but he doesn't want to manage a bunch of team. And so for him, it's better. He realized paying a premium, and he'd just rather do it that way because he trusts
Mhm.
us. So I do think that there's a time and place where you need to ask yourself, what am I looking for? Keith has no desire to grow some big mega company. He wants to enjoy his life, make as much money as he can, and do as little as possible to make the most amount of money as he can, and commit the rest of the work to people that he just knows he doesn't want to slog. He doesn't want to carry ops. He doesn't want to carry that whole end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So let's hand that off. So Keith's got an EA. That's the one person he has, and the rest the Collab team executes for him. And I think that
Yeah.
it's really worked for him. So I do think identifying what it is you're looking for, because I think that that's important.
Yeah, definitely. And you said paying a premium, but also make sure you're getting a premium in return.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
important as well, because you will pay a premium on a good outsource, but you tend to think of it as your part-time person or full-time person. How much would you pay a full-time person who might be half as good as you're going to pay this premium on an
That's right.
expertise level, who doesn't need to work as much? So
That's
you
right.
might spend the same amount on a full-time person, but they're not going to know as much and know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's no way around that. Whenever you choose whoever it is that you're going to work with on the third party outsource vendor side of things, like, make sure they have a good track record, right? Make sure you recognize some of the names on their website. Make sure they've got some video testimonials, right? Like, you want to hear from the mouths of other people that you respect. I would say people that are just out ahead of you, right? That they were gotten to that spot just out ahead of you by whoever it is that you're hiring to get you to that next spot, right? And then from there, that'll help you make your decision. I would say we do a ton of recruiting at Collab team. That's one of the things that we do. We identify gaps on teams. We fill those gaps with our players, and then we build out SOPs while we're holding those gaps. And then we go out and recruit and backfill, and help with the hiring of these people. And then we exit, as part of our jam. So for us, we do a lot of recruiting. I will say sometimes it's really hard to know, has this person truly done all the things they've said they've done? So Terryn, I think you do a great job at putting people through a battle testing of kind of proving some of the things they say they can do. I think that's really smart. But I would say anybody you're hiring in, whether it's hiring in on internal team, whether it's you're looking for an outsourced expert, is make sure they've got the chops. Because to Terryn's point, like, you want to make sure you're going to get what you're paying for. And I would say internal team, sometimes the downside of that is there's just one person, right? So that's, you hire some amazing CMO, some amazing chief marketing officer. Well, if they don't have a team built out underneath them, they might not be able to turn as great a results as they promised they could because they're wearing too many hats. So be realistic with yourself of, I've got a marketing problem. I'm going to go hire this really amazing CMO to come in and fill this role. But if they don't have a marketing team under them, they're only going to be able to do so much no matter how amazing they are. And so you're going to probably have to lead to other hires. And so in that scenario, maybe it's better to hire an agency where you're going to get a CMO, a fractional CMO who can do your ads, who can create your creatives, who can give you some copy. And then for a very similar dollar amount, you just got a whole built-in team rather than one person that you just hired and now are expecting the world from, because one person can't be an agency no matter how good they are.
I was just, isn't an agency almost like, what is the definition of agency?
I mean, I don't know what the official definition is, Terryn. I haven't looked up on Webster's, you know what I mean? But I would say like an agency in my mind is a group of people all like you're hiring out an outsourced team to do something for you rather than just an individual person to do a very specific job description.
Right. Exactly. You said it best. And there's a lot of people out there trying to be agencies. I feel like that's been the next kind of big move is you don't have ideas, but you want to help other people with ideas. And you want to be their fractional, whatever team, their marketing agency, their ads agency. Those are some of the biggest ones we come across. Nobody has their own in-house ads buyer really that I've ever seen. They're all using ad agencies. So just be careful, with what's out there and follow Aaron's advice on vetting and looking them up and seeing who's worked with them. And then, of course, making sure if you're paying a premium, you're getting a premium too. Don't be scared to break it off. Make sure you don't get too deep into a contract with somebody. Really check that contract and what it entails so that you can break things off if you realize you're not getting that premium.
Yes. We were just on a client call this morning, me and Terryn, and the guy we were talking to, brilliant marketer, does amazing things out there in the marketplace. But he had hired out a CRO, a fractional CRO, a fractional chief revenue officer to come in and really work his site, check out how he's making his offers, all the different pieces. And he said, on the backside of it, he goes, I think that I just trusted him a little bit too much. And I think that he watered down what he gave and he used a little bit too much of what I had there rather than like coming up with better hooks, like, how is this going to convert better? That's your whole job is like a chief revenue officer. How are we challenging the hooks? How are we challenging the meat and potatoes that we're selling? And if I know this particular individual just felt like he had gotten a watered down version because the person came in and basically just retwisted his words, but he could have done that. Like he was looking for fresh brain to rework his concepts to yield to better revenue. So I think 100% make sure you have very, very clear expectations and that they're showing up to meet all those expectations, because otherwise you could be really disappointed.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, Terryn, do you wish you were going to Funnel Hacking Live? Like there's I usually don't go do the big events, but this is supposed to be Russell's last FHL, which is kind of sad. It's like the end of an era, and I'm sure they're going to spin it into something new. I'm sure it's just all marketing. Russell's, such a brilliant marketer, but are you bummed you're not in Vegas this week?
No, I don't get FOMO. So are you
great.
bummed?
There are a couple of guys I would have liked to see, and that's always some big event that usually is going to be a magnet, right? That draws all of your pals, and people that we've got to work out. So I know Steve Harward's been texting me on the side. He's like, dude, are you going to be there? Eddie's doing the after party Thursday night. And I know like Paul, our client, is going to be there, and Steven Diaz is going to be there, and Pete Vargas is going to be there. Like all of our pals are all going to be there. And I'm like, there's part of me that's like, I would like to see all my friends, but Vegas gets a little bit loud for me. I'm kind of a quieter dude. I think anybody that's coming out of the Pacific Northwest kind of likes our quiet, so anyway.
Yeah, I think those events are much more fun to work at than attend.
Yes, which we do. I mean, that And that's probably where you and I probably part ways as well, because I know you love the energy of live events. And I'm like so stressed. Every live event we run, I'm like, oh man, did we get everything? So that's where you, I know, are cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
But
Just a cucumber.
just a cucumber, which we love it. All righty, Terryn Turner, ops experts. Thank you for tuning in this week. Great having you. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. Terryn played our hand a little bit, I think, on some of the cards that are coming. You should be excited about some of our guests that are not only coming out right away within the next couple of weeks, but other people we have on the docket. So stay tuned here. I hope you enjoyed our content. Terryn, thanks for your time today, brother. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ops Experts Club podcast. New episodes available every week on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're curious about how some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship have scaled their businesses to the next level, check out some of our best content on this topic by going to foundationsthatscale.com. You can find the link in our bio and do your part to improve as an ops expert.